Hi everyone. Sorry about that. I was having some trouble with the live thing again. As you probably guessed from the last week's video, I've had a bit of trouble figuring out how to work the YouTube live function thing. And I'd spent like the last couple minutes trying to figure out how to activate the live part of this live stream because when I tried it, for some weird reason, it was making it. It was acting as if I was trying to make an entirely new stream, even though I already had this thing like premiering since like last week. So I apologize for that. Good grief, that thing was such a pain. All right, so again, sorry about that whole mess. Hopefully, one of these days I can actually figure out how to work the YouTube live things. Goodness knows how many more mistakes I'd have to make before I finally understand how this thing works. Hope you all understand, and thank you for understanding. All right, now let me see if I can find the questions I had prepared. Okay, so here's how it works for those who weren't here last week. The way it works is that I will be doing about 20 questions for each trivia. And after asking each question, I'll be giving everyone 30 seconds to answer. And once the 30 seconds are up, I'll tell you what the answers are. And if you don't get it right, don't worry about it. This whole thing is just for fun. This is not like a competition or anything like that. All right, without further ado, let me just make sure my timer's working this time because during last week there were a couple of incidents where the 30-second timer did not activate for some unknown reason. Maybe it's because I have an iPhone 8, which is like really old for those who are unfamiliar with like what the current iPhone model is. If only those things weren't so crazy expensive, right? All right, anyways, everyone ready for question 1? All right. Let's see. Okay, this is an interesting one. Question 1. What was Mario's original name when he debuted, I don't know how to pronounce that, sorry, in the 1981 arcade game Donkey Kong? All right, 30 seconds starting now. All right, so looks like we got a couple of answers. Jumpman? Well, considering how most games kind of functioned back in those days, I suppose anyone would have guessed that. All right. Nice to see the chat was more active than it was last week. That's awesome. All right. And yes, my friends, the answer was Jumpman. Yeah, you guys got it. All right. Now here's another one. Yeah, Willow's in the background just playing with her toy she got for her birthday. Hey, all right. Question 2. What was Mario's profession before he and Luigi became plumbers? 30 seconds starts now. Yeah, I can see why you would say that question was easy to answer, especially considering how much jumping was really involved in pretty much every Super Mario game ever. Then again, I think a lot of games from the 80s were like that. All right. Yeah, no worries, Adam. I don't expect everyone to know all the answers. All right, the answer is carpenter. I didn't even know about that until I started like looking up crazy random things to do questions about. I also want to point out that some of them will consist of names that are foreign and I may have a hard time pronouncing, so I want to apologize in advance for that. Yeah, pretty bonkers. All right. Question number 3. Which legendary designer is responsible for creating Mario, Luigi, and The Legend of Zelda? 30 seconds starts now. What was that? I don't know if you guys heard that, but I think I heard Willow snorting under my desk. I mean, I imagine them being the same person. All right, the answer is, and I apologize for the mispronunciation, Shigeru Miyamoto. I think I pronounced that right. I apologize to anyone if it turns out I mispronounced that. I think he passed away maybe 10 years ago, if I remember correctly. All right. Question number 4. What is the specific date and month celebrated annually as Mario Day? 30 seconds starts now. Oh, he is? Huh, weird. I thought I remember seeing a video about some guy involved with Nintendo who passed away back when I was in high school. I must have gotten those two guys confused. I don't know exactly who he was, I just know that he had something to do with Nintendo, whoever that guy was. I think he might have founded the company Nintendo or something. Otherwise, I'm not sure. Alright. Oh, that 310 means March 10th. At first, I thought you were saying like 3/10. I'm like, 3/10 of what? All right. And yes, the answer is March 10th. Alrighty. Yeah. All right. On to question number 5. The Tanuki suit from Super Mario Bros. 3 is based on what shape-shifting creature from Japanese mythology? 30 seconds starts now. Oh, hey, Waleed, how are you? All right, any guesses? I know that as a sort of mythology person, I should be able to pronounce this one correct, but like I said, sometimes the foreign names are a little hard to pronounce, so please bear with me on this. All right. Well, hopefully I'll pronounce it right and that might jog someone's memory. If not, it's probably because I mispronounced it. All right. The answer is Baka Danuki. I think I'm pronouncing it right. It's like spelled BAKE-DANUKI. All right. I believe that's the entity where they use leaves on their heads to transform. You'd be surprised how many water-based entities there are in Japanese mythology, but then again, it's like a cluster of islands surrounded by oceans, so it makes sense. All right. All right, question number 6. Which reoccurring turtle-like enemies are modeled after a Japanese cryptid that eats children and is often bribed with cucumbers? 30 seconds starts now. Now I think about it, I don't think I've ever seen any of those things eat cucumbers. The All right. And yes, the answer is Koopas. So, to anyone who's used specific terms like Koopa Trooper or Paratroopa, that's technically correct because really they're all technically the same creature, but with like different ranks, I guess, for lack of a better term. So, yeah. And also, they're based on the kappa. For those who don't know, it's the Japanese mythological creatures that are sort of turtle-like and have water in their head. You might have seen a picture of those somewhere. All right. Question number 7. According to the instruction manual for the original Super Mario Bros., what were the peaceful mushroom whom people turned into by Bowser's magic? 30 seconds starts now. I gotta be honest, I didn't even know this one until I started doing my research either. All right, the answer was that Bowser turned them into blocks, bricks, and horsehair plants. Yeah, he basically turned them into the very things that Mario and Luigi have used in pretty much every game they've ever been in. It was kind of like that one Sonic Game Boy game where Sonic had to like fight all those enemies, but when he hit them, they turned back into cute creatures. That was the first thing that came to my mind. Yep. All right, now this is going to be a true or false question. Question number 8. True or false? Mario was actually the villain in the 1982 game Donkey Kong Jr. 30 seconds starts now. Hi, Willow. Oh, look who's come to join the trivia. Hi, Willow. All right, any guesses? Of course, your tail's like whacking against the screen. Yeah, this one's kind of interesting. Like, technically, I don't know why Willow likes to smell my breath. Technically, yes, that would be true, but not in the sense you're thinking. You see, when he was labeled as a villain, it doesn't mean like in the sense where he was evil or anything, but like he's only a villain from Donkey Kong Jr.'s perspective. Like, Jr. thinks that Mario was the villain, but really that was just from his own perspective. I hope that makes sense to anyone hearing this. Because sometimes when someone's perceived as a villain, they're not really as evil as we like to think they are. All right. All right, now here's an interesting one. Something I certainly didn't know earlier. Question number 9. Mario was named after who? 30 seconds starts now. Yeah, Will has to be the star. She has to be the center of attention. Do horsehair plants consist of horse fur? I honestly have no idea. I think they only call it that because it kind of looks like horsehair or something. I don't know, Callum. I don't know if he like bought a Nintendo per se, but this guy called Mario. I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. Segale, I think. He's the landlord of Nintendo's warehouse. So I don't know if he like bought Nintendo per se, but I do know he was involved in a sense. And here's a weird thing I found when I was like looking up the questions to ask for this trivia. Apparently, this guy had a dad named Luigi. I think we all know how Luigi, Mario's brother, got his name then. Ain't that crazy? All right. All right, question number 10. What is the total storage size of the original Super Mario Bros. Cartridge released for the NES? 30 seconds starts now. Any guesses? I'll be honest with you, I'm not even entirely sure what NES even is. I assume it's like something entertainment system. All right, I've got an answer from Callum. Anyways, the answer is 256 kilobits or 32 kilobytes. Not entirely sure what that means, to be honest. All right. Question 11. Which 1986 Japanese game for the Famicom, I think that's pronounced, disk system allowed players to design patterns for actual knitting machines? The 30 seconds start now. Oh, Nintendo Entertainment System. Looks like I was partially right. Yeah, I can see why you would think that, Adam. I mean, it kind of makes sense, considering how creative focused that game is. Totally fair answer. Alrighty. Okay, so this is an interesting name. Apparently, the game is called I Am a Teacher Super Mario Sweater. I've never actually played that game before, but I can easily guess what that would have looked like. All right. Well, Will's walking away. Hey. All right, question number 12. What is the full canonical name of the character often referred to simply as Mario? Basically, I'm asking what Mario's full name is. 30 seconds starts now. Actually, now I think about it, I'm not sure their last name was ever like specified, not even in the first Mario movie. All right, we got one answer from Callum and another from Blogger Weakling 58. Pretty cool. All right. The answer was Mario. I know, it's pretty interesting. And where's the rest of them? Please tell me I didn't. Where are the other 20? Never mind. Oh dear. Sorry, it looks like I miscounted how many questions I was going to do today. And, All right, everyone, that's all I got for the questions for the this week's trivia. And what I do is that once the trivia questions are over, I like to spend the rest of the stream just like talking to you guys. So I'm just going to minimize this and expand this. All right, so well, I'm glad you like that, Adam. Sorry, I'm still kind of weird with like this whole trivia thing. I think it's because I tend to be weird and awkward at times. But I'm getting there. At least I like to think I did better this week than I did last week, despite the delay caused by my inability to understand how the live thing works. Well, the important thing is, at least I can say I actually know what, at least I can say I'm actually trying, and I'm willing to admit when I messed up. Yeah, I figured that after last week with my pagan questions, I thought maybe I'd even it out by asking questions based on something that most people would actually be familiar with. So, how is everyone today? Yeah, that's true, Adam. Goodness knows I've had to learn that the hard way so many times. All right, good to hear that, Callum. Awesome. Pokey Monaco with 98. I think I'm pronouncing that right. Wonderful. Anyways, as I'm sure you saw earlier, Willow likes to smell the inside of my mouth sometimes. I don't know why, but she likes to smell my breath. One time when Willow was a kitten, I was laying in bed and when I like let out this yawn one morning, and then Willow, little baby Willow, she stuck her whole face into my mouth, like she was sniffing, sniffing, and then like just stuck her whole face in there, like she was trying to get a good sniff. Yeah, I probably should have done that, Adam, because Willow is just the sweetest thing ever. Oh yeah, you should totally do that, Callum. That would actually be cool. I mean, it would be nice to see how other people do it. Oh, and how did I meet Willow? Well, about 6 years ago. Well, 6 years next month, technically. I'd just moved into my first apartment. Well, technically more like a condo. And after like I want to say about a month or so of living there, I noticed how my place felt kind of empty, you know? Like it just felt kind of lonely in there. At first I thought it was because I'm still getting used to like living on my own, but it took me a moment to realize that the reason is because I'm not used to living without a cat. So I got a cat, or at least I began the process of getting one. I wanted to get a black cat because I don't know, I just seem to get along with black cats better than all the others because when I was a baby, my mom had a black cat named Boogie, and from what I've been told, he was weirdly attached to me, like to the point where he would snuggle with me at every chance he got, and mom would get so mad because he'd jump into my crib and just curl up next to me, and his black furs would get all over my pastel sheets. uh, so yeah, I decided to get a black cat because I seem to get along with black cats the easiest. But this was like when COVID was at its worst, so I couldn't just walk into a rescue shelter or anything like that and just look at all the cats and pick one from there. I had to like look at this catalog thing where I look through these different pictures of cats and see which ones I want to look at. Lima, for those of you who don't know, is my grandma from my mom's side. I call her Lima because I have another grandma from my dad's side, so to avoid confusion, I call her Lima and my other grandma Grandma. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, Lima showed me the catalog of like all these different cats. And she knew I wanted a black cat, so she showed me all these pictures of these different black cats, and they were all so stinking cute. Every one of them was a kitten, of course. The first kitten I saw that actually got my attention was this little girl named Fortune Teller. And me being pagan, I'm like, oh my gosh, that almost felt like that cat was meant specifically for me. But I wanted to see what other cats there were first. I didn't want to be the type of person who, like, chooses the very first thing I see, you know? And of course, we kept looking and looking until eventually I find this cute little black kitten, and I don't know why, but something about that weird little creature just like called out to me, you know? And that, of course, turned out to be Willow. Now, the place I got Willow from, this was actually the same place where I got my family's old cat, Smokey, who passed away some years ago. Oh, and I thought that was like a pretty funny coincidence. I'm like, yeah, we're definitely getting a cat from there. So, because of the COVID situation, they had these guidelines where Lima and I had to like come to the place in her car. I have had to like get a ride from her because I cannot for the life of me get a car or even drive. Despite having a driver's license, it's nuts. Anyway, we had to pull up to the place with the cat carrier ready, and they'd bring the kitten over to us. Of course, everyone was wearing their face masks because, 2020. Yeah. And here comes one of the volunteers working there holding this cat carrier, and inside was this little mewing black kitten, Willow. She was just so stinking cute, just like kind of walking around in the carrier, being like, "What's going on? Where am I?" Now, here's the interesting thing. When we got Willow, we were told that Willow might be a little nervous and scared, being in a new place and all, so they suggested we keep her in the bathroom for maybe like a day or two. But when we brought her to my condo and let her out of her carrier, Willow didn't act the least bit scared at all. In fact, she kind of acted as if she'd been there for a very long time. Kind of crazy, huh? Then again, Willow always did seem like kind of the social type for as long as I had her. In fact, during my first night of having her, I was just on the couch watching TV, and here comes Willow. She walks right up to me, jumps onto the couch, then walks onto my lap, curls up, and then just looks up at me with those big green eyes. And I think it's safe to assume that I definitely found my cat the moment Willow just started looking up at me. And ever since, Willow has been like the sweetest creature on earth. Always is receiving love and attention from everyone around her and just being sweet to everyone in return. Sometimes she has this kind of dog-like personality. Whenever she senses that someone is coming to the front door, she'll just kind of like speed walk over there and just be like, "Hey, who's coming in? Who's coming in? Are you gonna pet me?" So yeah, that's how I got Willow. All right. Now let's see. I want to make sure I'm caught up with how many. Yeah, I noticed that, Callum, but unfortunately, I messed up on how many questions I actually prepared. That's probably the last time I'm gonna like just rely on some Google for that. Probably should have asked Google like how many questions, huh? Yep. All right. Think I'm. Yeah, she does. Oh yeah, I remember you mentioning that, Adam. Wow, 10 years old. Well, happy early birthday to Spooky. Hi, James. Well, that's nice, Allison. I'm sure the kitten appreciated that. All right. Anyways, oh, did anyone see the new Super Mario Galaxy movie? I did. And no, I'm not going to give any spoilers. I'm just asking if anyone else ever saw it. Yeah, it was a pretty good one. Well, I think it's still playing in theaters despite it's been like almost a month, I think. Come to think of it, I don't know how long movies like play in theaters before they're like taken out of them and then like later put in whatever streaming platforms are available. I don't think it's the same amount of time for everyone, if I'm being honest. At least it kind of feels that way. Actually, now I think about it, I think some of the movies have been in theaters for longer than some. I even noticed how that one movie, I believe it was Yumi and Tuscany, seems to have somehow lasted its theaters longer than some other movies I've found, such as Undertone. Yeah, I gotta be honest with you, Nanomator. I feel like the critics just aren't entirely accurate on those things. Like, you know that movie Red One? I don't know where this is, but someone's left some weird reviews about how it was a terrible movie, though I didn't hear much about the details of why. This is why I don't rely on reviews for anything, rarely. Like in my case, it would be more about say you're looking for a book on Amazon about say how to write a screenplay or something. I don't mainly look at the reviews, at least not anymore. Nowadays, I kind of focus more on the prices and descriptions of the books. You know, make sure it's something I'm actually looking for while making sure I'm not paying too much for it. Especially when there's ebooks being not only the cheapest format out there, but also the easiest to store because the difference between a physical book and a ebook is at least an ebook can't clutter your place, at least not in the same sense as a physical book would. Yeah, I think it's still in theaters, Callum. Though I honestly can't say for sure how many more days it'll be there. I think it varies between movie theaters, but I could be wrong. You got the zoomies or something, or are you just acting crazy? I can see your tail's a little puffed up, so you're probably either getting too excited or you have the zoomies. All right. Hmm. Yeah, I agree, Joseph. At the end of the day, sometimes you have to decide for yourself if something is good or bad because everyone has their own opinions on stuff, and it's best not to take them too seriously, you know? That's an interesting theory, Adam. I mean, does anyone even know what the ages of these critics are? I don't think that was ever established. Also, in case anyone's wondering why I have my computer chair over here and I'm actually sitting on a different chair, it's actually because Willow, for some reason, has this habit where she likes to just stand or sit on one of the armrests and just either just stare at me or try to bite my arm. I don't know if she wants me to get off or something, but I'm doing this in case she wants to steal the chair again or just look for some place to perch, you know? Oof, that sounds disturbingly accurate, animator. Have I read the book called The Green Mile? No, I can't say that I have. I know there's a movie adaptation. I haven't seen it, but I remember I have accidentally come across a trailer one time. You know, Nanomator, your dad has a good point. I mean, it can't be a good movie. If it can't be a bad movie if it's making that much money, right? I mean, if it was really as bad as those critics say, hey, it is. That box office would have been screwed. Yep. So yeah, I'd like to think that he's definitely onto something there. That's her pretty much every day. Every day she's being her usual crazy self. Just roaming around, like sniffing random stuff, rubbing her face against everything. You know, that's how cats like mark their territory, just by rubbing against everything. You know, cats do that thing at the corners where they're like, that's how they mark their territory, apparently. So yeah, while we're chatting, we can watch Willow act like a total nutcase. Hmm. What? You got something you want to say? What, you want to say something to the chat? What? What are you looking at? I can't tell if Willow sees something or she's keeping an eye out for the birds and squirrels that sometimes wander around in the backyard. Yes, Callum, that is true. Like they're fine with drinking it, but being bathed in it is a whole other story. Well, yeah, listen, that would actually be a good question to ask. What's everyone's favorite Mario character? Of course. I think I remember a character named Pauline, but I don't know if I've ever played a game with her featured in it, if I'm being completely honest. Didn't she wear a red dress or something? I think she did. Nice. Oh, right. That must have been her. Yeah, I remember seeing this graphic where she looked kind of different from that, what I believe was the original version of the game. Like, didn't she have, like, orange pigtails or something? Or am I thinking of someone else? I don't know. For some reason, that was the first thing that came to my mind. Huh, Peach has telekinesis. I imagine that being very useful for someone who lives in a world like that. All right, let's see what else. Oh yeah, that was the name of the starfish from Finding Nemo. Yeah, that's the first I've heard of it. Yeah, they definitely made some improvements for Peach's character, that's for sure. I also appreciate how they kind of add more depth to her character in like the first Super Mario movie, as they pretty much did with everyone else. Because think about the games; they don't like explain much about like what everyone's deal is, why they do what they do. But that movie, the that first movie, and the context it gave, it actually caused a whole lot of things to make a lot more sense. Yep, that was definitely annoying. I'm not gonna lie. Hey, it's Josh. How you doing, Josh? Yeah, you're definitely right about that, animator. Well, you know what they say about hindsight. It's 2020. Well, that's cool. How was softball practice? Yeah, that's true. Alrighty. Oh, and I don't know if I ever told you guys about this, but I had this probably crazy idea where you know how, as some of you may know, I am a self-published author, and I've been writing books since. Well, actually, I've been writing stories since I was 13. My first book wasn't really self-published until like January of 2020. And recently, I came up with a fantasy story idea where I create a character based on Willow. Like, it's not going to be like warrior cats or anything like that. Like, the character herself isn't going to be a cat exactly like Willow, but rather she's going to be a friendly human witch with the same personality traits as Willow, and she's also going to have the name Willow. The name of the book I have in mind is called The Elderwood Circle. Basically, my mispronunciations. The Elderwood Circle is about a coven of six witches, each with a different type of magic. Willow, being the leader, is a shadowmancer, meaning that she's a practitioner of magic. Though I trust some of you have already seen the social media posts I've already made on other platforms like Facebook and Instagram. I think some of you may have also reposted them too. Thank you for that. It really helps. Well, thank you. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Adam. I admit there was a point in time where I was contemplating the idea of giving Willow and the other witches a ability to shapeshift into a certain animal and make Willow have the ability to shapeshift into a cat. But I don't know if that would be like unnecessary or necessary. Like, You know how sometimes when you're making up a story idea and you don't know what minor details seem like important or not, but at the same time kind of harmless because it doesn't make him like OP or anything like that? That's kind of how I feel about this. Yeah, I'll definitely have to think about that more. It was either that or give them animal familiars. Because somehow having both just seems like a weak idea, kind of redundant in a sense. I can't really explain how it feels redundant. It just kind of feels that way for a reason that I think can only be explained by the universe or intuition, something like that. Oh, all right, let's see what else. That kind of feels a little accurate if I'm being honest. I mean, if you think about it, the Mask of Loki was created by, of course, Loki, the Norse god of mischief, and as some of you may know, Loki is also a shapeshifter. I mean, he's transformed into like animals and other people, so I can definitely imagine the mask having similar powers. Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, can you imagine how gross it would be if he had that kind of ability? Actually, maybe he should turn into objects. That way we don't have to see his ugly face. I'm sorry, I couldn't resist. Tell me about it. Oh, yeah, I remember Allison mentioning that last time. I thought that was kind of weird because usually in bars they don't like play anything except for like news or sports. So I was honestly surprised when I heard that. Hey Willow, welcome back. You want to say hi to everyone? I can't understand what you're saying. I don't speak cat. I don't speak crazy. Because you do act a little crazy sometimes. Oh, she's in swatting mode, people. Willow has entered swatting mode. Yeah? Hey, Willow, what are your thoughts on the mask? Do you think he's pure evil? I would imagine she'd say yes, because the thing about animals is that they can sense who's evil and who's good. And since Loki is, well, let's face it, he's not exactly the most friendly being in the whole multiverse. So I would imagine yes. Really? I wonder why Salem never talks in that version. Oh, thanks. Willow definitely is one of the cutest. Now she's sniffing my desk for some reason. Oh, she's like, don't touch me. I'm not in a petting mood. Sometimes cats like to be like, hey, you mind? I prefer to be not touched. But then, like, another moment later, they come to, like, sit on your lap and, like, demand pets. Chill out, crazy. Yep. Where'd you go? Oh, there she is. It's times like this where I wish I had a translator. Ugh, tell me about it. You know, I once by accident found this picture on Google Images where Loki and the mask are together, and Loki has like a thought cloud saying, "Why did I even make this?" I can only imagine what it would be like if they actually met in person. Like, Loki would probably be like, "Why is he so annoying?" I gotta be honest with you, Callum. I feel like that's a 100% possibility. I mean, some of you might already know this. I'm pretty sure Adam does too. Who, but apparently he was originally a comic series, and let me tell you, after seeing the way he was drawn in those comics, let me say it this way: you don't draw characters to look like that unless you're meant for people to be scared of them, because you cannot draw them to look like some weird knockoff of those aliens from Mars Attack and expect them to not be considered horror characters. Like, there's just no way, dude. Absolutely no way. So, yeah, whoever's idea it was to make him look like that, they knew what they were doing. There was no mistaking it. No, sir. Yeah, the Scarecrow has one freaky looking mask, I'm not gonna lie, especially in the live action versions. Runkle's swirly eyed mask. I don't think I've seen that one. I think it's safe to assume that the mask is nothing but hostile. I don't think there's any other type of version of him out there as far as I know. Well, except for maybe that mirror reverse version made by what was Solo, I believe. Yeah, I remember that Halloween special. Actually, that kind of reminds me of something. Hey Callum, have you by any chance ever heard of a happy pasta? Actually, has anyone ever heard of happy pastas? Because I'm not sure if anyone else has. All right, I'm gonna see if I can like maybe do a screen share thing because I feel like I should probably. Actually, no, that probably isn't necessary for this. Okay, so basically, we all know what creepypastas are, right? Happy pastas are like the happy counterpart of those things. Like, while the creepypastas are all scary looking and evil and all that, happy pastas are actually the exact opposite. They're cute, they're sweet, they're friendly. One of them, by the way, is an entity called Splendor Man. See, Splendor Man, unlike Slender Man, is actually very friendly to everyone, and he's not like meant to be scary at all. He even has his own face, not like the full kind with like nose, ears, and whatnot, like you and I do, but like in that way that's like almost similar to what you'd see on the happy face, on one of those happy face balloons you'd see in a Target or a Walmart or a hen house. He's got like these black eyes, a big mouth, a top hat, and a polka dot tuxedo. And rather than lurk in the forest to scare people, Splinter Man uses his powers to make people happy. Like, for example, he'll have glitter everywhere, and his tentacles have like these little bell things on the end of them, kind of like the bells you'd see on a cat's collar. And he gives people balloons. The reason I brought it up because I was wondering if anyone else has heard of them and if they would ever like encounter happy positive versions of that. Right? She'd see him as a creepy cucumber. That is so perfect because he's green. Yeah, the reason I had to ask that because I was wondering, because I wasn't entirely sure if that would be like crossing a line or something. Because on one hand, she explicitly mentioned that the fact that he didn't have a face was what freaked her out, and that's why I had to ask about Splendor Man. I also want to mention there's another happy positive version of him called Trender Man, where unfortunately Trender Man doesn't have a face either, but really he doesn't like act violent either. All he wants to do is like help people find fashionable clothes, make everyone look beautiful through nice apparel and all that. But I don't think it would be a good idea to introduce Kaylee Joseph to Trender Man on account of the lack of face. Would anyone agree? I don't know. It just feels like I'd be crossing a line if I did that. And I don't want to like accidentally offend anyone, you know? Hi, Sasha. How are you? Yeah, I knew it. I knew meeting Trender Man would be a bad idea. That's why I had to ask. I mean, sure, my intuition might have helped a little, but I just feel like it would be more respectful to at least ask first, you know? Because sometimes you shouldn't rely on just your instincts and intuition alone. Sometimes it's better to like actually ask people what is or isn't okay rather than just like live off assumptions for the rest of your life. Because you know what they say about assumptions? It makes an ass out of you and me, hence the spelling assume. That was not a coincidence. They definitely did that on purpose. Yeah, I gotta be honest with you. Well, Trenderman's not exactly violent. He will get a little pissed off if he sees you wearing Crocs. That's the only time he ever gets mad at anyone is if he sees people wearing Crocs. It's so weird. I mean, I can understand sort of. I mean, Crocs aren't exactly the best, most like comfortable shoes in the world, but I don't know if I'd get all pissy about it like he does. I gotta be honest, I don't think I really have much of a fear of like certain fictional characters either. Like, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. There was a point in time where like when I was in middle school, I used to be scared of Jeff the Killer. Weirdly enough, for the same reasons that Adam is scared of the mask, even though their smiles look like really different. Like, I'm not gonna show anyone a picture because I don't want to accidentally traumatize anyone. But let's just say that both smiles are incredibly creepy, but not exactly for the same reasons. I mean, you're more than welcome to wear Crocs whenever you want, just not around Trenderman. That would be my recommendation. I don't think anyone would call that boasting, Nanometer, at least not for any reason I could think of. So don't worry, I don't think anyone thinks you're being egotistical or nothing. Looks like I'm not the only one, huh? Is Jeff worse or better than Michael Myers? I honestly don't know. I've never even thought of that. I guess that would depend on your perspective. Like, here's one key difference between the two that I noticed. Michael Myers is the type to like be totally silent. Like he has like no like ability to feel emotional connections whatsoever. He even purposefully keeps himself quiet. Like he doesn't talk. Michael Myers doesn't talk because he's mute or anything like that. He refuses to talk on purpose because he believes that any sort of communication would be considered as creating a human relationship of sort. And he thinks that makes him like weak or something. At least that's how I understand it. Jeff, on the other hand, he actually bothers to communicate with others, be it like his victims, other creepy pastas, and so on and so forth. So I gotta be honest with you, if it ever comes down to it, it would probably be Michael Myers because at least he because at least Jeff is not like completely he's not like but he actually has some sense of humanity to the point where he's like actually communicating with others. Like he's not purposefully or deliberately trying to shut out any possible well, relationships with anyone, regardless of what type it may be, positive or negative. And this tail's swinging around again. Why do you always have to go behind the monitor? What are you doing back there? There's nothing back there. That cat. Wait, who's Cassie? Cassie and Adam Universe. I feel like I've heard that name before, but I can't remember who that is. I'm sorry, Josh, I don't know who that is. I'd say his puppet Billy looks a little more scary in comparison. Cats are like dogs, they both go wherever they want to go. That sounds weirdly accurate. Like I've seen cats tend to act like dogs and vice versa. Cassie the cat. Sorry, I don't know who that is. Is that like an original character made by another Beyonder, or is that a TV character? I feel like I might know who that is. Wait, wasn't that one dark gray and white cat that sometimes appears in Annie Bobby's videos? Is that her? Oh, that cat. Okay, yeah. Sorry, I didn't know who you were talking about at first. I'm like, oh, I'm over here. Like, I know I've heard that name before, but who on earth is that? Yep. All right. Well, thanks for clearing that up because I'm over here like absolutely clueless. I suppose that's like one upside to like me doing these live streams. I'm like showing people that it's okay to make mistakes and that I'm like openly admitting to my mistakes. without like being shameful about it, especially since the mistakes I've been making thus far are like completely harmless. Like they're not like causing any sort of harm to people in any way. They're not like dangerous or threatening or anything like that. So I guess I guess I'm doing more good for myself than I might realize. What do you think? Oh yeah, I saw Nine Lives. I think Lil Bub was featured in that one. Well, thanks. I really appreciate that. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it. All right. Anyways, looks like the hour's up. Actually, it's been up for like about a few minutes now, but I wanted it to last a little longer to like make up for the delay that was completely my fault with like not understanding how the live works. All right. Anyways, thanks for joining this week's trivia night, and hopefully next time I'll actually pay attention to how many questions I have available this time. Am I right? At least I can say I actually know when I messed up. Anyways, thanks for joining this week, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye. All right. How do I? Oh, there it is.